Welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. We are here today with our coach from Absolute CBD. He is coming to you from Turkey via Shanghai, China. He has a very, very difficult name to pronounce, but I'm going to give it a go. His name is Kemal Akagündüz.
Yes,
Did I get
very
it?
nice.
I got it.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
thanks,
So
Kemal.
first question, man, is have you become such a great teacher by teaching people like Kim how to say your surname? Because
Actually, I never had this problem in China because all foreigners have Chinese names.
Yeah.
So just like if you meet like Chinese people here, they will tell their name like it's like an American name, whatever,
yeah,
English,
like
like
Billy
European
or
name.
whatever, yeah.
Western name.
Yeah. Western name. In China, us foreigners also, because it's very hard for them to pronounce my name. So my name in China was Kemal. So you just choose.
Okay.
So Kemal, it's like two Chinese characters, so they can pronounce it perfectly. And then I've been just calling myself Kemal. So when I, for example, every morning I buy coffee, they used to ask my name. I say Kemal. They get it perfectly. Sometimes they write the wrong character, but it doesn't matter. Here, it's a much bigger issue. So I'm like, fuck. Each time I buy coffee, I say my name, and I really don't like when they write my name wrong.
Yeah.
Like they like Kamal,
Yeah,
K-A-M-A-L. Yeah, that's how. So I just say, when they ask my name, I just say Ken. That's it. It's easier. But Lachlan gave me a Western name, actually.
Yeah.
Lachlan said it should be John Wayne.
Yeah.
The John Wayne sweep, man.
Because of the sweep or because you're such a gangster?
Because of the sweep. Maybe both. I think so.
Yeah, man, like the John Wayne sweep, so simple and game changing. Like this is the thing about your style of teaching, man. It's like very eye-opening to me. It's the first time I've ever been kind of like I've stuck on something for a whole week and then really kind of immersed myself in all of those options. And you start with something really simple and then expand upon it throughout the week. And by the end of the week, it really has sunk in. How do you like? It's also not something I see very often. Like normally the classes, they will have some sort of like linked threading. But with you, it's like this deep immersion for a week. Where did you develop that style? Who taught that to you?
Actually, I didn't like for example, how I learned Chinese. I didn't really learn it in a schoolroom, like a classroom. Like after a while, I got so bored. I started to study by myself in the library. So it's very similar when it comes to learning jiu-jitsu. Like I went to classes until like mid blues, and then after I was studying a lot by myself, and then I was always even before I started training jiu-jitsu, I was always like reading Reddit, BJJ, like every day, and then trying to find some advices from black belts, like, oh, I wish I knew this. And like I collected a lot of data here and there. And because I didn't really have access to world-class coaching in China, I started to download pirate instructionals. Back then, like I think I started with like watching Saulo Ribeiro, some Brazilian guys, and then I found Ryan Hall, like he's like amazing, one of my favorites.
Mine too.
Yeah, then I started to do like I started to put some time on a certain topic for a while, and then I saw it really works for me. And also my first coach was also actually doing something similar, like 1 week, one topic, and then like start easy, goes more like harder. But what I thought back then was I wasn't really being like, how to say, they were not really telling you why you get this grip, why you get this grip. Instead, they were saying, okay, guys, technique 1, you grab here, you do this.
Mm-hmm.
2, if they do this, you do that. 3, like this kind of stuff. But I was like thinking, okay, but why sometimes I grab the heel in the Lahiwa, sometimes I grab the collar? What are the advantages and disadvantages? And how do I get here? Like this kind of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started to watch how the other coaches teach. I met Lachlan in 2017. I talked to him. I tried to learn from him, like his method of teaching. And then I came up with this thing because I really like connecting every week to each other. And most of the time I teach what I do. So, and I always test new things on my students. I teach them for a month and I see how they learn. If it's working, it's good. Maybe add a little bit more. But if it's not working, I try to change. I experimented because I've been teaching Jiu-Jitsu since white belt, actually. Like before that, I was teaching Muay Thai in China to make some money as a part-time job. I was teaching Muay Thai. And I'm very big into like rational thinking. How do you say it in English? Rational thinking, like reverse engineering, always finding better ways to do things, more efficient ways to do things. Like that's how I come up with this. But it's also very, very similar to what Lachlan is doing, because when I came here, Lachlan also introduced me to his curriculum. It's actually almost the same. Like we do almost the same thing. Yeah.
Brilliant.
But you're very much self-taught, Kemal. Would you say your
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, you're not necessarily been under one coach learning through?
I'm like 90% self-taught. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's self-taught, because I think it's like even when I was joining my coach's classes, I was always supplementing it with like MG in action, like Marcelo Garcia, because Marcelo Garcia was like my idol. Okay. He's like one of the best ever. So I was like, okay, I have my coach's class already, but I can learn a lot more. And for example, if I go to the class and that week it's De La Hiva, but what I need the most is side control escape, then I will need to wait maybe like 18 weeks before my coach teaches side control escape. So I will just go to Marcelo's website, watch all the side control escape videos, take notes, and then say, okay, I'm going to drill these. I'm going to put myself in side control all the time during sparring and practice. This way, I was like improving much faster. And that's basically how I learned jiu-jitsu, watching Ryan Hall, Marcelo Garcia, Lachlan Giles, these guys. Yeah.
I'm fascinated, right? Because what traditionally happens is you have a coach, you do everything that coach says, and in some ways the coach can be even a little bit upset if you're going and getting too much knowledge from too many different places, because it kind of conflicts with what they're trying to show you. Like, how do you feel when your students are coming at you saying, yeah, but on YouTube, I saw this the other day, and also I trained at this club yesterday and they were saying this? Like, what's your view on that stuff, having been someone who's cross-trained and self-trained most of the way through?
Well, when I first started, when I was a blue belt, like before I even started jiu-jitsu in Turkey, I was in Turkey before I went to China. I was like, there was a gym, but too far away from me. It was impossible because I had a full-time job. So I started to watch jiu-jitsu instructionals, and I learned like the hierarchy of positions, this kind of stuff. And when I started to train, I had all these DVDs and I started to share it with my friends, because like my first training session, I was sparring and I mounted a guy and I crossed my feet. Like I did a grapevine, and the coach asked me like how long I've been training for. I said, this is my first class. And he looked at me and said, he said like, bro, I've been a black belt for 10 years. Do you think I'm stupid? I said, no, really. This is really my first class. I've never done jiu-jitsu before. And he's like, how do you know how to do a grapevine? How to like put your weight here and there? I said, no, I just watched Jiu-Jitsu Revolution or something, Saulo Ribeiro DVD. He was like, oh, very nice. Then 1 week later, I armbarred someone, and the coach was like, "Okay, like this guy is learning very fast." But the gym owner actually didn't like it. He didn't like it. Like the first year, I always shared my DVDs with my friends, which is not good. But back then we were students, broke.
Yeah.
Because like I was learning this Ryan Hall, attacking the back, how to take the back, maintain it, recover it, choke people. And then I was getting very good at it. And people were asking me, like, how do you learn this? And I was just sharing. But then the coach back then didn't like it. And he was calling me YouTube guy, learns jiu-jitsu from YouTube. And even some people who are my good friends now were back then telling me, no, the best way to learn jiu-jitsu is just join your coach's
curriculum
class. And for me, it's like, but I've studied 3 languages before, and this is just learning something else. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Like learning, because for me, most important thing is learning how to learn. And then I think this is a very efficient way to learn. So what you may say that makes no sense, whatever. Then when I started to teach, I started to share all the videos I have with my own students. And then they started to share with me. Or like whenever they see something cool on Instagram, they send it to me. I send it to them. And then whenever my students wanted to cross train, the worst thing you can do is tell them not to, I think. Like if you want to lose a student, you should tell them not to cross train.
Like tell them to cross train. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, not to.
Okay,
my bad.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, you want to train somewhere else? Okay, good. Like I'm not your owner, you know. I'm not your boss. I'm your coach. If you need something, I'm here. That's why I never lost like students to other gyms. And I really like when my students watch like for example Lachlan, John Danaher, Marcelo Garcia, Paul Schreiner. But I just tell them, you need to make sure you watch something you need right now. Like if you can't escape side control bottom, maybe you shouldn't watch buggy choke DVD. You know, like priorities. Yeah, that's what I think. But actually one thing about these instructions now is like, for example, whenever you teach something, like I've been teaching let's say headquarters position for like 8 years. But 3 months ago, let's say John Danaher comes out with a headquarters thing, right? And then he shows stuff very similar to what I do. Next week, people are like, oh, you must have watched John Danaher. You're teaching this one. I'm like, like, or like, for example, John Wayne sweep, right? I've been doing it since like blue belt, maybe 10 years. Last year, a lot of people were telling me, oh, knee lever. Did you see it from like John Danaher? Or like this kind of thing. Right? That's the annoying part. The rest, I don't care. I want my students to go watch, study, but what I like is I tell them, look, if you want to watch something, watch about this topic because I think this is what you need right now.
Yeah. And Kemal, what took you to China from Turkey? That's pretty far away. And
must be a girl. I reckon I was a girl.
So first in 2009, I went to Belarus, Minsk, to study Russian. I stayed there for like 9 months, and then I went back to Turkey. Over there, I started to train Muay Thai. Because I was like overweight, I wanted to lose weight, and then I couldn't play football. I wanted to do martial arts. I found BJJ, watching like Joe Rogan podcast and like some Fight Quest, whatever, this TV show. But then there was no jiu-jitsu over there. Then I said, okay, if there is no jiu-jitsu, I will do Muay Thai. When I went back to Turkey, I really wanted to do jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu gym was so far away. And I was working for my father in his company. It was very boring. I was very depressed. I wanted to go away, do something I want to do, which is training jiu-jitsu. And then my father used to tell me, like, he wanted me to study Chinese because I quit university on the 3rd year. I said, like, it's a waste of time. And then he told me, you should learn languages, go learn Chinese. And after a few years, I said, do you still think I can go to China and learn Chinese? Because I think it will be very good for my future. I can always find a job if our business doesn't work. That's what I told him. But in my head, I was like, okay, if I go to China, I can become a full-time jiu-jitsu practitioner. And then my father wanted me to go to a small city. I said, no, I will go to Shanghai because that's the best jiu-jitsu, where the best jiu-jitsu gyms are. So I found a university near the jiu-jitsu gym and like set everything up. And then I went there. I told my father I will go for 6 months only, but I stayed for 11 years.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So
And
the
what-
one was that 2011? Was that right?
2012.
2012. So because you've just
Yeah,
come
yeah.
here this year, yeah.
Yeah.
And what was it like over there? Sorry, Anton, to jump in.
It was super good. It was very good. I think one of the best decisions I've made in my life was going to China. But also, after the COVID, it became very, very hard to run a jiu-jitsu gym, and it was very depressing. So leaving was another one of best decisions I've made, and coming here actually.
Yeah.
But I had so much fun. I learned a lot. I like China. I like Chinese people. It's fun. Shanghai is an amazing city, but you know, sometimes you feel like, okay, I've grown as much as I can here, or like I'm supposed to, and I need a new adventure. I need to go somewhere else to get to next level. That's how I felt, both professionally and personally.
What are your observations about Australia? You haven't been here for very long, brother. You've jumped in. You've got a lot of friends around you all of a sudden, and but you're very busy. Like, I know how many classes you're teaching. You have no life, but or maybe you have the best life. I don't know. But what are you noticing about Australia so far?
First thing, people here are very laid back and relaxed, like no worries, mate style. You know, like no worries. No, in China, everyone is like work,
Yeah.
like wake up in the morning. Here, I see like everyone is very relaxed. Like it's all about comfort. Work comes second, you know, and I feel like life is a lot easier, like in easy mode here. And of course, there is a lot more freedom. I've never seen like protests for last 11 years. I come here, there's like protests every week.
Freedom to protest.
Freedom to protest, like
freedom of speech,
so
man.
Freedom.
So
much. I also feel there's a lot of respect for like personal space, a lot of respect for people's time. You know, like if you are outside of work, nobody calls you, texts you, asks you to do something. Nobody asks you to do overtime. Nobody asks you, hey, can you cover Saturdays? Like this kind of stuff. Oh no, he's off, you know. So I really like Australia. It's very nice. The food here is so good. Supermarkets are so much nicer. Life is better. I love the library right near my apartment, like a state library. It's super good. I go there to study. So yeah, it's very, very nice. And there's so much nature. Like I like the botanical garden, Shrine of Remembrance. I like when you go a little bit outside CBD, there are like many parks, even in the CBD, like huge parks, like trees, nature. Like I really like it. Yeah, it's super nice.
amazing. What do you study when you go to the library, man?
When I go to library, I either read like a book or I just watch jiu-jitsu instructionals because I'm preparing for ADCC trials. So in September. So what I do now is trying to write down my game plan. That's like my go-to things, narrow down, like, because if I do so wide variety of things, it's very hard to really be good at competition. I try to like narrow it down. I try to see what is working, what is not working. I go to St. Kilda like 2-3 days a week. I train in Lachlan's pro class. Then I get some feedback over there. And weekend I go to the library. With that feedback, I watch some instructionals. and try to find like what I can add to my game, what I was doing, I forgot using it, whatever, and try to write down, trying to like create a mind map, like branches and stuff.
Wow.
Or sometimes like I just see something new, I just go watch it.
Hmm.
Because I don't have
Buggy
life.
choke. The buggy choke.
I have a lot of time here, so I just
Oh,
And Kamal, what are your thoughts on jiu-jitsu in Australia? I mean, you're fairly new to Australia. What do you think about our level compared to
oh
what you've seen overseas?
well, I've only seen China and Thailand, Thailand, and Turkey. I think jiu-jitsu here is very good. Yeah, very high level, and so many people train. It's crazy. Like, what's the population of like Melbourne?
let me get that. I
Was
don't
it
know. Hang on a
5
second.
million?
Melbourne population.
Anton's the IT man. He
Melbourne population is currently 5.078 million. Oh no, that's a
pretty close.
2019. I don't know.
Oh, that's it's probably around that.
Sure
Then.
about 5 million.
Maybe it's gone 5 and a bit. Yeah.
So Shanghai's population is over 30 million,
Wow.
and people here, like a lot more people train here. Like in China, it's very hard to recruit new people. Very hard because, but here people just want to train. They come in, they do like trial classes, like introduction classes, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, MMA, and a lot more. I see a lot more fresh people coming here, and the gyms here are a lot more crowded. The competitions are a lot more crowded, and also, of course, like there are very high level competitors as well. So it started with Lachlan, Craig, Kit Dale, right? So now there are like next generation. There are some very high level guys, and like the St. Kilda gym is just like the pro session over there is super good for me. I really like that. So I really think the level here is very good. It's good enough to help you win like titles. I think yeah, it's very, very good, very high level.
You
Cool.
have some
And
good
growing.
training partners there at St Kilda. You had a go with Dan Schwartz this week, is that right? How did you go?
I trained with him. Yeah, he's very good. Because I think I watched him
Compete
before, but I didn't know he was training at Absolute because I was watching Australian trials. Yeah, there's him. There's Burak Sarma, Turkish guy,
He's the
right?
best.
Over there as well. Yeah,
Trying to get him on the podcast for the last year and a half. FYI,
Maybe you
anyone
can
out
beat
there?
him into submission and then drag him on, brother. That'd be
good. Not listening to me. Sorry, go on.
Kit Dale's in
So,
town
yeah,
as well. Have you rolled with Kit Dale before? Did you?
I rolled with him in 2017 once. I saw him. He came to one open mat, but then we couldn't roll. We didn't roll. He left.
Okay.
He was here for a week or so, I think. Yeah, so these guys are very good. When I roll with Burak, for example, it's very hard. I get very tired. I roll with Lachlan. I need to be very careful. He's like super good attacking the legs, like good at everything, but I'm a lot more scared when he's like inverting under the legs. I need to be very careful. I need to constantly think how to avoid this, how to avoid that. I rolled with Levi in the gi, super good. So I'm very lucky to have these training partners. I just trained with Daniel on Tuesday, I think. Tuesday. Yeah, that was a very hard roll. He's very technical. It's like usually big guys are not very technical. So yeah, it's
Theo,
not very
can you
hard,
hear
but
that? Did you hear that, Theo? He's going to be editing this podcast. He might edit that out. He's our editor.
Theo. Except Theo. Theo is very
He wants
good.
me to ask you, actually, have you got any tips for a blue belt in his 50s? Because he wanted me to make this podcast all about him. I said we can't. It has to be all about Kemal.
I have same advice for anyone. First of all, most important thing I try to teach to all my students, I try to teach them how to learn. That's it. If you learn how to learn, it's not only about you, so you can just learn anything. It's basically putting this information the software in your hardware, and
Mm.
everybody's hardware works slightly different. So you need to find what works best for you, and then just try to get access to like best possible information out there. Like if there was sub meta when I was a white belt, I think I would have gotten to black belt much faster than I did, to be honest.
Mm.
Because back then we used to like find something here, something there. We were lucky to have, like, for example, Ryan Hall teaching you the whole attacking the back system like he uses, right?
Mm.
But then when I want to learn something else, it was very hard to find. We had like MG in action, like it was easier, whatever. But now with submeta, it's so much easier.
Mm.
Like it can take you like from white to black, like so good. So I think everyone first need to learn how efficient, like for example, how to focus on what you are watching, how many techniques he can digest in a week. Does he need to drill first, or can he just jump into positional sparring? If he needs to drill, how long he needs to drill? Positional sparring, how hard he needs to go, how many rounds he needs to do. If there is no positional sparring, how to put himself in this situation in free sparring without really letting the partner understand and get upset, like, oh, why are you giving me side control, whatever. So, and then get feedback from this training and repeat. That's it.
Amazing.
Like jiu-jitsu is not, it's not very hard. It's like simple things, but like constantly
It is,
following up.
but it isn't. I mean, it's very, very hard. It's probably one of the most difficult things you'll do. I mean, you've managed to, you basically got your black belt by self-teaching in, is it 11 years? Is that right?
No, 8 years.
8 years. There you go. Even less time than many people with a coach that's, you know, helping them along the way. So I agree with what you're saying, but also I think it's very difficult.
Yeah, I think Kemal has found like the access to this. It's like the education is always key, right? The knowledge is power, and you've really, you know, whereas someone like me has been training like with a physical mindset. Like I was 35 when I discovered it, and trying to stay fit through it, and just following the instruction like a sheep. That's what I've been doing. I've been a jiu-jitsu sheep, whereas you're like a lion. You know what I mean? It's like you're a whole different animal, you know? But one of the things you said in class, which fascinated me, was like, if you get beaten, it doesn't matter if they're bigger, smaller, different gender, you know, different belt, doesn't matter. If you get beaten, they're better than you, full stop, you know, no excuses. And I was like, okay, that is really cool. Actually, the other night I got tapped by a 19-year-old blue belt, and your words entered my head. I was like, okay, like there's a 30-year age gap here, but he's better than me. I got to face that. And now I got to start. So it actually had an impact in a very powerful way. Because like normally I just go, well, I'm 50, he's 19. Therefore, you know, a blue belt to me is more like a black belt to me because he's got that explosive young power. But now I'm like, no, he's better than me. I'm not going to let that happen. So I'm going to go back to the lab and try and work out how to beat him.
I think it's like what I meant is a little bit different. Almost that's what I meant, but a little bit different. What I mean is, I didn't say he's better than you. I said, if you're 45 and a 19 years old blue belt beats you, the wrong response is, yeah, he's just 20 years, 30 years, whatever, younger than me, and close the door of improvements. I think what you should say is, okay, me right now, I'm not good enough to beat someone like this age, this technical level, whatever. Because when I was like coming through, I just saw this again and again and again. Whenever someone loses, they're like, oh yeah, but he's so strong. Oh yeah, but he's very young. He's very fast. I used to tell them, okay, that is a fact. But if you say, yeah, this guy is very big, so yeah, he beats me, then you're just saying yourself, okay, there is no way I can beat this guy, and like I don't need to do anything, it's outside of my control. What you should say instead, okay, this guy is faster than me, younger than me, he's beating me. Why? okay, first, I'm maybe not technical enough to do this. What can I do? How is he exactly beating me? How is he passing my guard? First, you need to fix everything you can, then say, okay, he's younger. Like I had this friend, very high level boxer in China, foreign guy. And then there was another guy in his gym training with him and then talking to me like, oh yeah, this guy, Diego, he's very good. He's beating me because I think he has more fast twitching muscles than I do. It's all genetics.
Yeah,
And
genetic.
I was like, we were like three people, and I said, I'm not gonna say something. And then he kept saying, I said, can you please stop this bullshit? It makes no sense. I said, how long have you been doing boxing for? He's like, 3 years. How long the other guy has been training for? Oh, 11 years. How many professional fights does he have? This many. So how much do you think technically you're as good as this guy? He's like, actually, no. I said, no, you are wrong. He's so much better than you technically. So before you come to fast twitching muscles, like he has this small muscle advantage over you, you need to think about your technique is terrible compared to his. That is the reason. Stop lying to yourself. Because if you say that, I don't know if there's a way to create more fast twitching muscles, like maybe you need to wait for your next incarnation, then you might have that body, but you need to think like, okay, how can I improve my technique? How can I watch this sparring footage with this guy, try to find every single mistake I make, or at least do like 80-20. Okay, what are the biggest mistakes I do most of the time? How can I fix these? When you do that, go spar with that guy again. You may not be the strongest, fastest, youngest, most handsome person, but you may be. That's what I always say. I always say this when I have a hard training session. I go to pro session as well. It's sometimes very hard. I say, okay, I'm 100% sure I'm the most obsessed one in that room. And I'm just going to learn. If anybody passes my guard, if anybody submits me, or if I have difficulty of sweeping someone, I'll just think about that the whole day until I find a solution to that. Then I'm going to watch something if I can, or I'm going to ask Lachlan. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to drill it in my mind. I will go to gym, drill it, and I will say, okay, next time my goal when I spar is this. That's how you fix mistakes. That's how you get better in jiu-jitsu. But the shortcut is always, it's not my fault. Like that's all. Whenever it's mostly, it's very common. Very common. It's always like, not my fault, not fine. If it's not your fault, you will never get good. It's always your fault. Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. That's powerful advice, brother.
That's
really,
true.
really powerful.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah. We're nearly out of time, Kemal. Do you have any final words? You've given a lot of wisdom, imparted a lot of your attitude and your knowledge onto us. Can you share anything to sum it up for our listeners in the last 3.5 minutes?
Yeah, one thing just comes to my mind is I think people should stop comparing themselves with other people in the gym. Don't try to get better than someone else. Always try to get better than who you are today. And one way that will help you, for example, even if you don't have anyone who can beat you, expose your mistakes in your game, openings in your game, try to be like a hacker who hacks his own software, or like a software developer who hires hackers to hack his software. Try to think like, okay, I always do this. If I were grappling with myself, if I was in like ADCC trials, what would be my strategy? And I say, I think it will be doing this. I wouldn't enter the half guard. I will just stand up. I will try to pass it around, whatever. Then I say, okay, then I need to be so good at this. Then I go there. Like play. Don't forget, I can't pronunciate this very well, but visualization. It is very strong. Use visualization. Like if you don't have time to drill in your mind. Like learn the move, do it in your mind. Before competition, use visualization. Like to repeatedly see the match in your head. Boom, boom, again. Or like like shadow boxing, drill and do positional sparring and do free sparring in your head. Even like physically, when you don't have time, you need to work your mind, because your body cannot work all the time. You may be like working somewhere else, you may not have time, you may be sick, but you sick mentally, you can really train a lot more. Yeah, just
Amazing.
and you have all these access to like very high level coaches. Just use it, you know, ask them questions every day.
Yeah.
Very few people actually ask questions, to be very honest. We have hundreds of students, very few people ask questions. Like I used to, whenever I find someone, I used to ask, like Lachlan came to Shanghai for 1 week, I was asking him questions every day, all day, like trying to like get as much information as possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I feel privileged to call you coach. You're an awesome guy. You're very cerebral about your jiu-jitsu. You're just an all-round great and funny guy too, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank
having me.
you.
And after ADCC, maybe come back on and share what that experience was like, if you feel like it, as long as you win.
Okay, as long as I win.
Even
if
if
I
you don't.
if I don't, then you can delete me from the.
Yeah, we don't have losers on the show, man. That's right.
Yeah, only first place.
That's right.
Yeah, always.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everybody.
Thanks again, Kemal. We'll see you on the mats.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.